Interview Assignment Number 2 by Aaron White. My interests in narratives, and in particular the monomyth as described by Joseph Campbell, gave me a framework to structure my thoughts for this project. I decided that this work was a way for me to continue writing my story as a leader. My leadership interview was with Adelie Penner, who I previously worked with at BTPS. We first worked together while I was teaching. As the assistant superintendent, she was the lead for our district's optimal learning coaches. Collaborating with her and her team helped me expand my practice as a teacher by working on providing peak moments of learning for students. At the district level, she also was key to many initiatives, two of which I am able to work with currently. Buffalo Trail Public Schools is working with a 4-year plan that defines 5 domains of learning. Also, students are able to meet with the board virtually every quarter to share their perspective and voice. Currently, Adelie is the Chief Executive Officer at Elk Willow Consulting. There she worked with superintendents and other leaders alike with a focus on systems implementation. In addition to her consultation, she also presents on a variety of topics as well as working as a mentor and evaluator of principals. Adelie's focus is one that centers on growth and change. From the Elk Willow website, the statement of our why reads as follows: to inspire people to reach their full potential so that together we can change our world for the better. During our discussion, there were 3 distinct narratives that emerged. Optimism. The main tenet of this idea is that through optimism, one is able to navigate past challenges. In turn, that journey will help provide efficacy to the group. This is much like the idea of telling a story that relies on positive rather than the negative. Narrating successes engenders a sense of completion and fulfillment. Change. Dave's commentary on how the use of a word, a simple word, can set individuals off rang true here. When such a word can incite the idea that there is something that is deficient, people can get defensive. However, by framing barriers as a lens to view necessary shifts, followers will move the focus away from change being a deficit to a potential. Vision. Having a goal is a way to unite those working together. The distal goal, like looking up at a star, helps us move forward and upward. It guides us when we are unsure and keeps us focused on things that are not immediate concerns. By looking up, we can focus on aspirations that are bigger than us. These ideas help me reflect on who Adelie is as a leader and what her strengths are. Adelie and I spoke for some time. I had several questions, but there were 3 that generated a lot of ideas. Adelie has an unshakable sense of optimism without being Pollyanna. I was interested in hearing how she felt about how a positive outlook is connected to facilitating change. I asked her the question, what is the relationship between optimism and change disruption? She spoke to me about how doing the right thing helps her move forward. One phrase that stuck with me was, wrapping our challenges around doing what's best for kids. It made me think about how often people can get mired in personal and emotional problems. By looking at ideas from a larger perspective, we can tackle them without feeling personally attacked. When discussing my LPI results, I asked her about the take on the discrepancy between my self-assessment and my direct reports assessment regarding the phrase, I make sure that people are creatively rewarded for their contributions to the success of projects. I wondered about the definition of creativity, and Adelie connected creativity and authenticity. When we listen and respond in kind from a genuine place, it reaches people in a way that can bypass our prefrontal cortex and get right at our limbic system. I appreciate the idea that truth with tact can be very rewarding. To me, if creativity is being authentic, that provides a positive outlook for coaching and leading. We also discussed when coaching and leading, relationships are a two-way street. Having a positive outlook is a great way to keep the flow of ideas reciprocal, allowing others to come along on your journey. This all fits under LQS 4, leading a learning community. Being optimistic is a great way to be a learner and to model learning. Carol Dweck's work on growth mindsets illustrates that looking towards change with positivity is fundamental to being receptive to learning. The next set of ideas aligns well with LQS 3, embodying visionary leadership. From previous conversations, one thing that has remained with me is that Adelie welcomes diversification, and she focuses on being a facilitator of change. I asked her what challenges are related to being an advocate for change. Again, much like Dave shared with us, change can be negative to some people. It can cause frustration and even dissent. But a great way to navigate this is to create easy fails for staff so that moving forward is modeled as a possibility rather than a never-ending pursuit. Visionary leadership is a catalyst for learning conversations. Asking questions and generating dialogue creates a shared ownership in ideas. At times, the work can seem like picking low-hanging fruit. In order to connect students and trustees together, Adderley simply listened to what they wanted and gave it to them. A big piece that I gained from this is that a vision for change helps open a listening ear to others and gives you the opportunity to make those ideas happen for others. This also aligns with LQS 7, developing leadership capacity. Committees, councils, groups, and PLCs can all provide a venue for voice and be a great place for teachers in school to provide guidance for the school community. Another question that was fruitful was, where's the connection between taking risks and encouraging others to share in your vision? I was very interested in hearing what Adderley had to say in regards to this idea. It was a piece from Kevin's LPI presentation that sparked in my thoughts and has been on my mind ever since. A big part of a buy-in for change is being willing to fail forward. Leaders should be part of the process and have shared failed moments so that we can reflect on the ideas together and build new opportunities in a healthy manner. To me, I see this as a reflection of LQS 1, fostering effective relationships. Being part of the process will create a safe environment for teachers to test out different practices without the fear of retribution. Finally, Adderley talked about how important it is to look toward innovating rather than adopting ideas and adapting them. Mainly, this precaution comes from the idea that our context needs to be considered, especially regarding systems implementation. Although looking to others for guidance is very beneficial, it can be limiting when an idea is forced into a context that it's not suited to. Again, this comes back to LQS 3, embodying visionary leadership. I've thought about the relationship between leadership practices inventory, leadership quality standard, and professional growth plan and found a common theme. The LPI survey helped me see where I am at. Within the 5 practices, I found that I need to clarify my philosophical position in order to articulate a vision as a leader. Also, I learned that a strength of mine is to see challenges as opportunity for growth. The LQS gives me a framework to refine my practices. This acts as a lens to see what I should focus on. Within the LQS, 4 competencies became clear: fostering effective relationships, embodying visionary leadership, leading a learning community, and develop leadership capacity. The overlay of the LPI and the LQS is best summarized as a focus on community to create goals. Utilizing a PGP defines how I can grow as a leader. I've made goals to step into unfamiliar territory with an open mind and collaborate with colleagues in order to understand their challenges and needs. The common area between my PGP and the LQS is summed up as learning collectively, while the shared ground between the LPI and my PGP is facing challenges. As a whole, looking at the intersection between LPI, LQS, and PGP shows me that a core focus for my growth centers on group responsibility. This resonates with me as I've been very interested in the idea of taking on responsibility, specifically that willfully taking on challenges creates purpose. The piece that I find very interesting about this is that it has overlaid the concept of community on top of responsibility. I've always thought of individual responsibilities, but I'm curious to explore the idea of how personal responsibility is embedded in group responsibility. The first short-term goal I have is to go into my everyday and ensure that I am promoting optimism. I feel that I already frame the world with a rational, optimistic lens, but I understand that I need to vocalize these ideas more frequently. I want people around me to understand that this is my core. I feel it, and I need others, when thinking of me, to be able to say this about me. I'll start to consciously focus on communicating how we can take on the duty to embody this optimism as well. Second, I will actively engage in conversations in order to help coach people toward change while gaining insight into what our group at WHS is communicating as a need. To make this mutually beneficial, I will deliberately focus on being authentic in my responses in order to creatively celebrate successes. Finally, a long-term area that I'd like to develop is being able to facilitate others in achieving their own goals. I can see that if I engage in being able to help change happen, then my own goals are met, as well as seeing others complete their journey. The interview that I had with Adderley was a great way to reconnect with a strong leader that I admire. The reflection process has given me some valuable insight as well. At first, I thought this work was about writing my story. Although this definitely is the work I'm doing, I have also come to realize a bigger idea. The work of a leader is about writing our story.